There's not a person on my team in 16 years that has consistently beat me to the ball every play. That ain't got nothing to do with talent. That's just got everything to do with effort. Nothing else. 15 straight years, 12 Pro Bowls later, if you want numbers. I done saw all of it. And the only thing that's kept me around is my effort. So when you put on this, all I ever knew, because I wasn't a #1 recruit, I wasn't a #1 linebacker, I wasn't even in the media guy. All I ever knew was effort.
See, effort is what separates the boys from the men. What you do every day will dictate your future.
I was trying to get a record deal for 6 years, and I kept getting turned down. And any successful person you know, even though it seems like everything just happened for them, it usually was preceded by a bunch of failure, or at least a significant amount. But the great ones aren't the ones that don't fail. They're the ones that learn from their failure, and they keep going, and they're persistent, and they're tenacious.
Following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And it's like, because they don't think you can do nothing they can't do. It's a lonely, scary, dangerous pursuit, and you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe is in there. You got to be fearless, you got to be relentless.
Like, until I make my dreams become a reality, I'm not quitting. I don't care how much money I have to invest. I'm going to continue to do this until I become successful. All right, I've got a rule called the show up rule. All right, somebody said you can pretend that you care, but you can't pretend that you're there. The only way you can be there is to show up. And what I'm asking you to do for me, you'll never be a failure if you show up every single day. Every single day when I come, I show up and I let failure know. Failure is not an option. So what, it takes 12 years to get a 4. Failure is not an option. So what, I put myself in the PhD program when I know that to be a great person in the PhD program, you have to read well, you have to write well, which are my 2 greatest weaknesses. But failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. You can't even let it sink into your brain, not even a second. You have to know that this thing is going to work. Come hell or high water, whatever it is that I set out to do, it may not happen in 6 months, it may not happen in a year, it may not happen in 2 years, but at some point, my dream is going to become a reality.
I realized that there was a ceiling that I couldn't crack through unless I actually studied and worked under a coach to get better. And this idea that things are just fixed is proven not to be the case. You can get better at things, you can grow, and even people that are innately talented still need to go beyond that basic talent that they have and cultivate it.
Outside of teaching people to bring the joy in my life, I teach people to honor the struggle. Honor the difficulty. When we honor the struggle instead of hate the struggle, we can really achieve extraordinary things because our mindset's in the right place. As soon as you honor the struggle, you accept that, oh, of course, there should be struggle here. I should honor this process. When you go to the gym to work out, you honor that this is going to be hard, and honor that process of getting better. And the more that you bring honor to it, the more your psyche builds with strength, and you get a little bit of that esteem back because you see yourself engaging something versus avoiding it and running away. You see yourself connecting with something and giving it reverence. You're like I have reverence for the difficulties of life. They may be better. So I don't want a friction-free life. I'm not interested in it. You know, I like to say sometimes that, you know, the journey to greatness begins the moment that our, you know, deep desires for comfort and ease are overpowered by our desires to connect and contribute.
Early 20s, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, and he used to do these things where he'd cure phobias. And so one of the phobias that day was public speaking. And my little team I was in, Eddie, and we get called up on the stage, he made you give a speech. So like 30 of us get up there and give a speech, and it was just terrifying. I literally almost peed myself. Like I was going to pass out. I was going blank, like in and out of consciousness almost. And then I talked and like, wow. When I was done, at the intermission, they said, Tony would like to talk to you. And I walked backstage and he goes, I've not said this before, He goes, I think you might be the most gifted speaker I've ever seen. Please pursue this. I was like, what? He goes, I'm just telling you, please pursue it. 2 years later, I was on stage touring with him.
Really?
And I think the lesson in that for me was, man, like sometimes on the other side of massive fear, this isn't a saying either, I mean this. Sometimes on the other side of massive fear is your great gift.
Oh, I love that.
Or a great rewarding. And I stumbled into this because I conquered this monster fear. It's almost like that fear is the barrier to get to your greatness.
Yeah.
And once that went away, and I've had that example happen in a few other things in my life too. So like I kind of chase fear now. I hate it.
Yeah.
But I chase fear because there's always a gift on the other side. It could be a gift of a reward, but it also could be a gift about you didn't know you possessed.
Yeah.
And so something I'm addicted to doing now, but that was probably the first example in my life I went, this is changing now.
What is amazing about the volume model is the notion of marketing for the sake of better marketing. So what happens after you post those 78 is you start getting quant and qual feedback. And what you do with that feedback is you make the next decision, which is, are you gonna write more about that? Or has there been such a huge reaction to people's response on what 5G actually means to their day-to-day, not just faster and better battery, but how our entire world changes when you create that speed of information, how that actually makes autonomous cars real, how that actually allows a doctor in Peru to perform a surgery on somebody in New York, how that actually does. When you see the response, now all of a sudden you say, you know what? That little 3 sentences we said about, did you know, when 5G is in your life, this happens, got such a big response. Why don't we now have our graphic designer make an infographic real quick around 5 things you don't know about 5G, and let's post that at 3:37 p.m. today. And then when that goes well, then you decide, why don't we make a quick little video on our iPhone talking to Lars in R&D? He knows a lot about this. Let's go over to him. Lars says it, and then you just post it, not with what's quality, with green screen and lighting. I mean, I was powdered before I came out here right now. That to me is not the variable of success of this talk. That was not gonna be the variable that made this go well or not. It was what I was gonna say. And Lars with an iPhone with bad lighting saying something thoughtful, and then that posted at 7:04 p.m. on our Twitter to the small group that cares, matters. And so when you get into that mindset, you can see how it works. And it's really just having writers, designers, something we call predators, shredditors, which are people who can film and post-produce for the channel all in one person. Talent, humans, commitment to being able to pay those people to do the thing, because you value that more than the lighting in your booth in Spain at a conference.
If you're about to do something for the first time, chances are high that you might embarrass yourself. But what it means is if you're willing to be the kind of person that is willing to embarrass themselves, it means you're trying something new.
Whatever the fuck your thing is, just go and do it. Just force yourself to do it. And if you feel like shit because you ate lunch, then your lunch was, filled with bullshit, well then, hey dummy, don't eat shitty lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow try a nice salad. Yeah. Try a salad with some salmon and see how you feel then. You're like, hey, I feel way better today at 6 o'clock.
Lay a disciplinary structure on yourself. Get the chaos in check. And then you can move towards a state that's freer, because it's discipline first. Like, look, if you're going to become a concert pianist, there's going to be several thousand hours of extraordinarily disciplined practice. That's the imposition of order on your potential, let's say. But what comes out of that is a much grander freedom. And so in virtually every freedom that you have in life that's true freedom is purchased at the price of discipline.
So I want to produce, I want to have a business, I'm producing here, I'm going to produce in India, Hindi films, regional films, I want to be able to act in them, maybe not. There's so many things that I can do which I want to be able to explore.
And the distance from your emotions so that you can actually assess your options and make the best decision for you.
There's nothing I talk about that's a magic trick. It's all back down to a very primitive mindset.
I feel like there's like a push behind me, like, all right, like after I get out of the gym, I have a really good workout. I'm like, yeah, now I'm doing it.
I mean, hopefully I will still be working. What, where, how, I've never known. I'm not someone who plans my career. I'm very instinctive. If I like something, I do it. Hence the reason I fail a lot also. Because, I take risks, I take chances.
I also think it's awesome that I'm so emotionally stable and I'm the emotional backbone of everybody. Is that what a dude's supposed to do? Like these cliches, these stereotypes, they're so silly.
We're all in a battle with our own brains. That's
all
life. That's all life is.
It's the most powerful thing in the world, is your own brain. It can work for you or against you.
And as opposed to focusing on all those bad things that happened, all the things you didn't have, the people that called you names, all the stuff you did, and you start thinking, wait a second, I just visualized this, and now I can take it to the next level.
When we evolved and developed and we're hunter-gatherers, that there's a set of rewards. There's reward systems that are set up inside the human body, inside the very being that we embody.
And don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it.